As Disney fans, we're all pretty impressed with our own Disney collections. But trust me, you can't talk about Disney collections until you've talked to Paul Bottos. He has over 10,000 Mickeys. This week on the podcast, Paul is sitting down with Carrie and I and talking about his collection and how he started collecting Mickey Mouse and how he got recognized by Disney and how he brings joy into his life every day. It's such a great, inspiring episode, and it's all coming up. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. Hi, I'm Francine.
And I'm Carrie.
We're two best friends who can't stop talking, usually about Disney stuff.
Sometimes we have fascinating guests, and sometimes it's just us. But it's always positive and fun.
We're happy to have you join our chat. Thanks for listening, and let's get started. Hi, Carrie.
Howdy, pal.
Another week, another podcast.
Oh, yes, it is.
Well, people will be happy to hear that it's not just the two of us talking.
They'll
a whole
be like,
lot
hallelujah. We've had enough of that giggling.
We've had enough of you, too. Well, we did get some really good feedback on some of the recent podcasts, which is good. But this week we have a guest. Mm-hmm. And, I'm really excited to talk to him because we got to listen to Paul at Dayton Disneyana. So if you've listened to our Dayton podcast, you know who Paul is. We've talked a little bit about him. But yeah, I'm really excited. He's fascinating.
Yeah, he's just an all-around awesome guy. He's so, he's a role model, really. A role model to, live your life, filled with good and pixie dust and
yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And I encourage everybody to go into the show notes and watch some of the videos that we reference. He speaks of his experiences he has with Disney, and you've got to click through and watch them. They're awesome. You really need to see his story too after you hear it.
Yes. So we're going to ask him all about it. I'm really excited. So should we just bring him on?
Let's do it.
Paul, welcome so much. We are so excited to have you on the show. Paul Bottos, you are the man known as having over 10,000 Mickeys in your collection, which is so impressive for Disney fans like us to talk about. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice to be here. I get asked all the time about how crazy I am to have, so many Mickey Mouse things in my collection, but it's only brought me wonderful things, so I can't complain.
And I know that we've got so much to cover, but before we even get started, just tell us a little bit about you and how this kind of your story about how you kind of fell into collecting Mickeys is just it's fascinating. Yeah,
and I think one of the reasons the Disney company got involved with me is because of that. It sounded so wow, that's quite the story or upbringing. So I come from a very dysfunctional family type background, and I grew up in foster homes and group homes from the time I was 9 until I was 13, and then I stayed in group homes until I was 18, and went the whole social service program way, student loans to go to school, and I lived with friends and that kind of stuff, and moved around a lot. And then I got in trouble a few times with the law and stuff, and at some point in there, I said, I don't want to live like this no more. I don't want to be this way. And I started working towards, there was a family, a group home family that I ended up living with, and they helped me a lot, and I still classify them as my parents to this day.
They that's great.
Role. So, and it turned out really well for me as far as I'm concerned. But along the way there, me and my wife, we would go out collecting things, and she was a big collector for Thai Beanie Babies. And so we would travel all over southern Ontario looking for these at garage sales and different places that they had them on sale, real special ones and stuff. And she had a lot of them. And while we were doing that one time, I guess we're at a garage sale, and I picked up this Mickey Mouse, and it just I don't know, it just kind of brought back this memory when I was a kid. We used to go to this movie theater in Hamilton. It was close to where we lived, and we would pay once to go and watch the Disney feature, but between it, they would always show the cartoons, the Mickey Mouse cartoons. And so, and I just always remember how good that made me feel. And I really liked that character. And, that's one of those things when you're a kid that you hang on to that, has that kind of light bulb, makes you feel good inside that, that you did when you were a kid. And I didn't have a lot of them. I ended up very adversely going through different things in life. And that just kind of really grounded me again. So I thought, wow, I'm gonna collect some of these just to feel like I was collecting something too. And then I started collecting little plastic figurines, and I started collecting non-sport cards. I just started collecting, and made a room up, and I thought, wow, it'd be all nice to display this all in a room, because I was displaying the Beanie Babies for her in the house, the whole house. So I wanted at least a room that I could display the Mickey Mouses, and it turned into a bedroom, and I turned into bunk beds, and it kind of evolved. And we would go out, and every time we went out, at least there's always a Mickey Mouse on something somewhere. There's all kinds of that stuff out there. And now with the recycling regenerations of all these places like Valley Village and Talese, and there's these secondhand places that I pretty much give this stuff away, or try to, but I sell it. And so that's kind of given me quite a focus in the last bunch of years, where I drive around and I go to, sometimes I'll go to 7 or 8 in a day. And especially on Tuesdays when it's Seniors Day, and you get 30% off stuff. And there are times I find nothing, absolutely nothing. And then there are times I find more stuff than my house can hold.
Wow.
And I've been doing that for almost 35 years.
Wow.
That's impressive. 35 years.
Yeah. So I've been collecting since I was in my 20s. And so I'm almost 60 now, so.
Why Mickey?
Yeah. That's a funny thing, because I think the psychiatrists where I work, they tell me that it's this lost childhood thing that I kind of gravitated towards that one item or that one thing that's associated with your childhood. And, I kind of focused on it. And when I start focusing on it, I just drew in all these things around me, which made me feel good. And so I was trying to get away from feeling that negative stuff, or coming from a background where, things happen. You think of the worst case scenario instead of thinking all the good things around you. So I surrounded myself with these Disney people, or Disney minded people, or Disney like people. And I've yet to find one that's, are angry or, pissed off or whatever. And if they did, they would do it in a funny way or a humorous way, or that's the kind of attitude that they have. And I surrounded myself with these people, and it's a kind of a make good thing. On top of the fact that these people now, a lot of them, and there are thousands of them out there, they think of me when they see Mickey Mouse. I'm not sure how you, I can tell you how that makes me feel. And it's so powerful that, someone texts me and says, oh, I saw this and, I thought of you, or, do you want this? Because, I want it to go somewhere where I think it would be cherished, and that kind of stuff. That happens to me like all week, all the time now. And that's you can't pay for that. That's, there's nothing like that.
I surely think of you when I think of Mickey Mouse. Yeah. And when I'm out and about and I see things, I think, yeah. And what about with Facebook and having, like you say, the Disney community, the Disney community has grown so much over the last number of years too, right?
I find it overwhelming, actually, because lots of people send me things. And so you try to hook up with some of these. I don't even try to hook up with them. I just have communications with them. I just want to reach out to them and kind of show them. I always want to show my stuff. And, if they have something that they collect that's along that line, or I like showing them, especially the older stuff. There's lots of people on there that I see that have, different sites that are related to Disney. Mostly it's Disney, and not very few of them are specific to Mickey Mouse. And so I find that that's interesting within itself. And so there's these little cultures of things that I collect that are Mickey Mouse. I got the ties. I got 100 and something ties. I got all these prints. I got all these, the little bully cartoon characters. I have hundreds, maybe thousands, which is kind of unbelievable when you think about it. every day I can find something exciting to do along those lines with Mickey Mouse every day.
And it's funny because when you talk about it in terms of the Disney community, we totally get it, that there's all of these people and they're happy and they're joyful and they spread that kind of feeling amongst them. But this just brings you joy, finding one item, finding one thing that is not in your collection. That makes you happy.
Yeah. So that's a really unique feeling to itself too, and I find a lot of things because Mickey Mouse is on millions of things. And so I've almost set myself up so I can't fail because there are so many things out there that are unattainable by me. I mean, I went to Dayton, Ohio, a few weeks ago, and on the way back I stopped at this market, and in this market they had thousands of Mickey Mouse things. Thousands. And I took pictures of I spent probably more hours there than I did at the tables at the Disneyana convention. And part of it was because it was these old things, and a lot of them are so financially out of reach. But to see them all on display, and they're and the trying to figure out the dates and the researching, and it's the hidden Mickey, that to find that hidden treasure, or someone's just giving something away, and to me it's treasure, and to somebody else it's just a toy. And so those interactions are wonderful. I can speak about them all the time.
Do you ever get where you're at a place and you see something and you're like, oh my goodness, this is great, I gotta add it to my collection, and then you get home and go, oh, I already had it? Does that happen to you? Because you have so many.
Not that specific, because now I am collecting things that I only find or see that are unusual or rare. And so in most cases, that's what I do now, or to complete a set of things that I've started to collect already. But I don't... even if I did come home and it was something that was doubled, and I have done that, I just think of it in terms of, I try to make it positive. So I have this extra thing now, and I can use it to trade for something else, or give it to somebody, and and see the look on their face when they get something like this. And so that's how I would look at it. I wouldn't look at it as a negative thing, or now I got two of these, what am I going to do about that? That's, to me, is irrelevant.
That's awesome.
So then you just, as a collector, if you love stuff, you don't mind having multiples, depending on what it is too. You're like, you just love something so much, you're like, it's okay if I have more than one.
Yeah,
maybe
and
I'll
I've
put
done
one
that.
in this room and put one in the other room.
I would say that goes with the little plastic figurines. I mean, there are only so many in so many different shapes, but there are millions of them, really. And I have maybe thousands. So there are lots out there I don't have, but then they're so mass-produced. Like a McDonald's toy is a McDonald's toy. You see it everywhere. And, you can pick up 100 of those and get one in the bag. You get one so it's never been opened. You get one. I mean, you can start going crazy if you want in collecting of things. But I don't tend to do that. I tend to just collect the massive things. Like I saw ties, with Mickey on them. I thought that's really cool. And they were at Value Village. And so every time I went to Value Village, I took the ties. And lately I don't find too many, but I have 152 ties with Mickey on it.
They're all different? Are they all different?
Yes,
There's
all
that
different.
Many Mickey Mouse ties?
There's thousands of prints out there. So anything that can be made with material can be made into a tie.
I guess.
So it could, Wow. But then there are like the tie companies. So there's thousands of them out there that are different, whatever. And I'm not a completist, which is a good thing too, because that would drive me insane if I couldn't find all the ties or all the things that become obsessive compulsive with them. And I'm not like that. And so that's another good thing about when you collect or whatever, that it doesn't make a difference to me whether I have all of them or I have one of them. It's not. I don't think of it that way. I don't think it's necessary. When you put all the things I have in a room, like I did with the museum, it blew me away. Like just visually, I couldn't believe that was only half my stuff.
And this is you. So you were asked to bring some of your collection to a museum to demonstrate, like to show and share your collection with people, and just like even packing it up. I can't imagine how much time it took to pack that all up.
It's still packed. Some of it's still packed up right now since I brought it back. So I haven't really figured out what I want to do yet. So the house is a bit of a disarray at the moment, just because I quickly brought stuff back, and so everything's in a bin or strewed out on the floor in the main Mickey room downstairs, which is it looks like a hoarder's room. It doesn't look like yet, but I've gotten a few things recently that I need to work on what I want to do or how I want to set up the room again.
That's one thing with you having that exhibit. That's what I wondered in my head. I was like, how on earth would you decide what to do and how to do it? And I just couldn't imagine. It worked out really well because there was a pandemic going on, and so I could bring pieces. And for between January and April, because they were secure, you couldn't get to go with them. I could bring stuff every day. Literally, I could come in the van and set it up and start to get a shape as to what I was thinking or what I was looking at. And it turned out really well. Like the room and the type of casings that they had for me to put stuff in made it so I could show off a lot more things, because people couldn't touch them, because some items you can't are quite brittle, or they're fine pieces and stuff like that. I wouldn't want them broken or to get wrecked in any way. And so, but they had like 11 cabinets for me to utilize at the museum to put things inside, so people could visually get a really good look at what I had.
Now, so it's not just the museum. You have been recognized by Disney itself for your collection. And I think, I've heard the story, but I'd love you to tell our listeners about it, because I think it's such a tribute to what you do.
Mm-hmm. So I collect for a long time. And then at some point I was going to sell everything. And, I told my son I was going to sell everything, and he was adamant. No, you're not selling any of this. And I'm like, well, what are you going to do with it? And he didn't have an idea what he was going to do with it, but he said that his entire life, because his mom passed away when he was about 5, and we've been collecting that Mickey Mouse things the entire time. And I never really thought of it that way. And I never thought it was cathartic for me, but I didn't realize that it was for him as well. And it made us go places and do things together that he's 25 now, that we still do to this day. And so that has made that bond really, really important. And he brought that to my attention. He also said to me, which is very fascinating, he said, what if the Disney company saw you had all this stuff, and then, they would find out, and then they would put on a museum or something. I forget exactly what he said, but he said, what if you found out Disney? And that's exactly what happened. The Disney company found or saw a video of my room. And, next thing you know, me and my son had been invited to Disneyland. They took me on tours of places in the park. They shut down sections of the park for me. They closed Toontown down, like completely down, wouldn't let people in there until I did whatever I was doing in there. And I met with Mickey in there, and we had a big conversation, the interview in there, and it's all in video. All the Disney people were there. They filmed this, all this happening. They took me to the studios and the archives, showed me things, gave me stuff out of their archives physically, a piece of paper that had Mickey's on it, a template. They literally took it out of the archive box, out of the wall, and handed me a piece and said, here, this needs to be in your collection. I guess
your son put that in the universe for you. Like, he put that out there, and it just came.
Yeah, no, I believe that too. I believe things are to be, and so no. But as I found it very powerful that he said that to me, and then that actually really did happen that way. And I've asked the Disney company a couple of times, so why were what was it about me that made them want to get involved? And they just said that they felt I was a real genuine person, who was, not talking crazy and doing, silly things with it. And I did it for myself until social media got involved, and then, it kind of snowballed from there.
And your son got to experience that all with you, right? Like, he got to go, and I'm going to put the links to the YouTube videos and everything in your channel in the show notes.
Pretty cool, yeah.
But he got to go and experience this with you. So that whole journey of you two collecting and then spending that time together, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I keep telling people, if you wanted to attribute it what it would be like if I won $1 million lottery. It'd be like, you won this thing that was unattainable, because that's how I felt. And that's, the video shows that clearly. I was overwhelmed with joy and excitement, and where I was put and what they did with me. Why me? And so they just said, look, you're a real person. We think that's real. We think people should hear this.
Wow. That experience, when you look at the experience you had, money couldn't buy that.
No.
There is no, John Stamos couldn't pull out his wallet and say, I want that experience. That was for you. That was 100% for you. Like, how fantastic.
Yeah. And they've done other things with me as well. And so I've had the pleasure of doing some pretty cool things, with the Disney company. And so that's just still blows me away. One of the largest companies in the world is even interested in myself and what I do or what I did. I thought that was interesting. I've offered them pieces or whatever, or donate to them and all that kind of stuff. Whatever, they don't want they don't want it. That's not what they're looking for, or not from me anyway. So my idea now is to share it with as many people as I can and let people see it and be aware and talk about it. And like I said, think of me when they see Mickey. Think of me.
I think it's so incredible, the joy that you share now with so many people and sharing this collection. How do you feel about the new Mickey short cartoons, like the cartoon version of Mickey now versus the older? Like, is there an era of Mickey that you love more than others?
So I enjoy the early stuff, the most of the early stuff, any black and white or anything from the late 20s, early 30s, all the way up until about 70. Is my favorite period of time, with Mickey Mouse. Now the newer stuff, I think of it like that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse cartoon, and there are different programs that have come on, and Mickey looks a little bit different, not exactly maybe like he was before, and that just goes with time. And so I kind of think of it that way. It's not my favorite character, and I wouldn't go out of my way to try to obtain things that show me that the newer cartoon styles, but I like having it up against all of the other stuff. So I think of it in terms of its entirety, as opposed to, I'll get a Disney piece from the 30s, and then the next day I will get a piece that came out last week, and so it doesn't bother me or thwart me. I still think it's Mickey. I have Mickey myself in so many different styles. It's unbelievable. I could probably run a style, 100 different Mickeys that all look different.
Do you have a favorite sidekick that you like to see him with? When he's, in the cartoons, do you love when he's with Chip and Dale, or when he's with Goofy, or,
I think I probably enjoy most his interactions with Donald, because Donald's the angry, yelling, screaming, and Mickey's the trying to be reasonable, kind of keep things cool characters. And so I like those. I like the transactions with Mickey when he's upset or angry or pissed off, when he's showing emotion. I always find that fascinating how they portray him, showing, because they still want to try to keep him this, lovable character. And so you got to be careful when you're doing that, take him into. My favorite is Runaway Brain, and he plays like a Frankenstein character in there. And Jeff Shelley drew me a drawing that's one of the reasons the Disney company people got involved in my life. And that's probably my favorite, Mickey in an emotion that's different. That's not normal. It's not shown a lot.
Did you ever play any of the games, like the video games? Did you ever play, what was it called? The Paint?
Epic Mickey.
Yes.
Mickey.
Epic Mickey.
I played Epic Mickey, and I played Epic 2 Mickey. Now, I'm not really good with the video games, but my son is a gamer, and we would get the games, and he would play it through, and I would watch it with him. He could play through the whole game really, quicker than I could. And but I did play it, or I played it a few times. I enjoyed them, and I collect older games or games that don't exist anymore. And so Sega Genesis games and some early handheld kind of games. I have a bunch of those in my collection.
Those would be cool. I loved Epic Mickey. It was one of my favorite games. The whole concept of him painting and then using the turpentine, the paint thinner to get rid of stuff.
Good stuff, yeah.
It was
great. It was good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it too, and that Mickey was on it for majority. Like he was a major character, him and Oswald, but they were the major characters. Some of the games they have them, and they come into the scenes, or and they go away. Kind of like I don't care for those ones as much.
Now, do you enjoy the parks as much as you do collecting? Like, do you enjoy going and seeing things in the parks?
I'd like to go to the parks. I've been many times. I've been to Disney World quite a few times, and I've been to Disneyland twice. Once when the very first time I went was when Disney sent me, and then the second time I went to a Disney Expo, a D23 event for a weekend there by myself, and that was and I got to do lots of really cool stuff at that one. I would go to the parks for different reasons. I like Disneyland because it's old and that's where it originated, that's where it started, all of those pieces to it. I like Disney World because of its size and that there are many more parks and many more things to do, and so you can spend a week doing things. Where at Disneyland, I find the parks are quite a bit smaller, and it's more about nostalgia for me anyway.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. Carrie and I always debate between Walt Disney World and Disneyland, and we love them both for obviously for different reasons too.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to some of the other ones. I'd like to go to Paris. I'd like to go to Tokyo and Shanghai. Like I'd like to do that, whatever, and they're on the list. But that's one of those fleeting kind of things you have to. I saw there was an ad in the Facebook that had you could buy a trip for just over $100,000 to go to every park. They would take you to every single park and stay in the hotel, stay in the parks and whatever, and do it all in like one shot.
Yes, I heard it was. I heard it was sold out in pre-sale.
Yeah, it sold it. No, it did. They sold it pre-sale, so they didn't get anything.
Wow.
So it just goes to show that you could have more of those or more of that kind of thing. People would do.
I think they said it looked like it was worded like it was a one-time thing, but I wonder if it sells out that quickly, if it's going to be, well, maybe we'll just try it one more time.
Well, I think once the Disney people find out about it, they're going to get involved because that's a money-making venture. It's like the Club 33 thing, right?
Yes.
I think it's the same, under the same category of that.
Same people probably that have the memberships are the ones that bought all the $100,000 ones.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
In your collection, like I know there's probably certain things that are a lot easier to find when you're scooting around looking for your treasures. But what are the what do you really like to look for? Like I like looking for like old theme park merch, or I like looking for old retro games. Like, is there something that when you find it?
That's my favorite. So when I go into Valley Village, I get this wall of games. It's like a wall of stuff that gets put in, whatever, and I spend a lot of time just visualizing it. And so for me, it's about I see Mickey or a character, or I know about a game because I've researched things so much. And so when I see that, I kind of I'm like a magnet. People say I'm like a magnet. I can pick a blanket or a sheet or a pillowcase off a rack from 50 feet away that has a Mickey something on it. And so people know that about me, and it's kind of funny, whatever, but I'll walk through Valley Village and come out, and the lady goes, "Where'd you find that?" I've been here for 3 days. I never saw that.
You have it's like a homing device to Mickey Mouse.
I have been doing it a long time, and I've seen a lot of things. I really the research magazines and stuff. I have collections upon collections of literature.
Well, that's one thing I was thinking when we were listening to your presentation at Dayton, and I don't know why. It just dawned on me that you have so much knowledge about Mickey Mouse, and not that I didn't doubt that you did, but I never really thought of it as all these years, you are you're an expert on Mickey Mouse merchandise, right? You've either if you don't have it. You've it's exactly with you driving home and stopping and spending hours and hours taking pictures of things. If you don't have it, you've dreamt about having it, or it's on your bucket list, or you've researched about everything that you could possibly try to find. I was like, he knows everything about Mickey Mouse.
And so that's when I see all these these people put stuff up on here, and a lot of it's fake that I see. Whatever, but I can tell you just by literally looking at it, because I've seen so many items from so many different countries. And I've seen unlicensed pieces. I have unlicensed pieces in my collection just because they were so strange, or they were so that's Mickey Mouse. There's no doubt about it. But that doesn't look like the character that we identify with. And so, and there's some weird stuff that like, I have this cigarette lighter and ashtray, a cigarette holder, and it says for kids. It's got Mickey Mouse right on it, and it says it's for kids, and it's metal, and the lighter, it's like a Zippo almost. So I mean, you can use it, and I just think that's fascinating that some of the stuff that was merchandised that they put his picture on that today would be thought of as taboo or not right.
Wow. That is, I was impressed, like, listening to your talk at Dayton. I to Carrie's point, like, hearing things like how his eyes have changed. And you can pick out, looking at Mickey Mouse, what year something came from just by the shape of his eyes. Yeah. Yep.
And by the material, I mean, there's a lot of little tiny factors that would play into that. But I have gotten that good, to be able to read, if someone calls it, and if I don't know, I can reach out to the community that I know, and one of those people will definitely help me. I know I've shown pictures of things that I thought was something different, and just recently somebody pointed out that what it was, and he pointed out the logo on it, and so now it's definitive. Like it's yes, that's exactly, and that's what I want to know. So I can help other people if they want, or just I have this knowledge because it makes me feel good.
And you're getting quite the response on social media and people reaching out to you because they want to help your collection. Like it brings them joy to see your collection.
Yeah, there's people people send me stuff. I've gotten stuff from Africa, New Zealand, South America, the UK, the United States. People just send it. They want my address and they want to send me stuff because they think that I should have, in my collection, or it would be something that they figured would be, good for me to have.
So
that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. So now, if you think about it, you and your son, you go out, you still do it together?
We go to like Value Villages, or I'll pick him up whatever after work one time, and we'll go out. And I mean, he's looking for clothes and other things. He's not really always, he's not looking for me, Mickey Mouse, but he'll come back with 4 or 5 Mickey Mouse things while we're there to show me, and I'll usually say, "Well, I got that. No, I got something like that." So that's usually the conversation. Or I'll pick something up, and he'll go, No, you don't need that. Where are you going to put it? Or just get the rationale about what I'm going to do.
That's fantastic. So he's kind of like right in there advising you on how it comes together. Yeah. And does he help you put it on display?
When I'm moving a lot of things around, he would help me, but he's more apt to just let me do my thing because I spend hours and hours and hours and hours in a room to move one piece a centimeter left. And so I've done that lots of times where I'll spend days and days in the room and just, move something because it doesn't catch my eye. Or when I walk in the room, I really do consciously think about the room, what it looks like when you walk into it. What are you seeing when you walk in? And so I try to, change it around and move it up a little, or move things when I'm doing stuff and make it so that if you walked in the room, this got your attention. If you stood here, same, and I try and do that with the majority of it. And it takes me a lot of time. I tell you, it's kept me out of trouble. It's probably kept me out.
That's so fantastic. And I love to hear that. So it totally still brings you joy. Like you have all of these pieces, you have an abundance of Mickey Mouse, but it still makes you happy. Yeah,
I feel happy. And when I look in a room, I kind of look around and go, wow, like that's impressive to that much stuff. And, I start categorizing it in my mind about, okay, when I got that, what memories come or tagged to that item or whatever. And that's so I can look at millions of different things and go through a journey as to, where they came about, whatever. And I think that's made it easy for me to talk like this or talk on the internet or, talk at Dayton, Ohio about it because, that's what I've been doing. I've been narrating this, how I got all this stuff, how I end up with all this Mickey Mouse. I never in my wildest dreams thought this was going to happen.
Wow. Do you see a day when you won't be collecting Mickey, or is this will always just keep bringing you joy?
I think my goal would be at some point is to sell stuff off to other collectors, people that I know that want Mickey for collecting and to show off. And I guess at some point in all of that, I would probably keep a few things that I like or want or whatever, and then pretty much either sell the entire thing off. And I've already been in contact with a couple of big companies that do that. And so there's Heritage Sales in the States, and they auction off, and they do really well with auctioning off of Disney, especially Disney stuff, whatever. And so at the Niagara Comic Con, they were there. They had a booth set up, whatever, and I explained who I was, whatever, and they say, hey, we're interested. If you ever need a broker or somebody to help you sort that out, whatever, we can help you with that, because that's what we do.
Wow.
Meet people like that, right? And so you just put that in the back of your mind. I tell my son about it, and so that worst case scenario, something happens to me, and you want to get rid of all this stuff, then here's a viable route. And eBay's one of those things that you just don't know, right? You put something on there, it could stay on there for years, and you put it on there, somebody could buy it tomorrow, and so it's all subjective, really.
And it's a lot of work. Like when you do that independently with the eBay and things like that, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work and a lot of energy. So, I mean, obviously, if you're retired and you're not doing anything, you're just sitting in the house, then you could do stuff like that. But I'm not there now.
You're still not there yet.
I retired 2 years ago, and I've since been back to where I was, and I was there for 32 years. And so this is my 33rd year there, and I just work part-time for them now, and then I got a job at the First Ontario Centre here, and so I'm a supervisor there that looks after people who do the ticket taking at the entrance to, like, for all the sporting events and concerts and any of the events and stuff. So I do that, and I work Tim Hortons Field and for the Ticats, I do the same thing there. I'm a lead hand on one of their gates, and I do all the troubleshooting at a gate.
Holy smokes!
You're a little busy.
Yeah. So I'm just always doing something. Got lots to do. There's a toy show on Friday. I'm going to go to that. There's lots of toy shows and antique shows. I go lots and lots of those, and I have lots of friends want to come with me now, because instead of me being this crazy Mickey Mouse collector, I'm this kind of famous guy now. That's give them some ideas on when they're collecting things or looking for stuff.
I bet it would be absolutely fascinating to go to something like that with you and watch you sort of see things and pick them up and decide whether or not you're adding them to your collection. And I bet that would be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Paul, is there anything that people don't know about you that you wish people knew about you?
Don't know. I'm a pretty open book, and no, I am. Mickey Mouse isn't my only collection, and so I have a concert ticket collection, and it's quite large and has some pretty famous tickets in it from shows it has to be shows from this area or region, or like within the Greater Toronto area and stuff like this. But majority of them are mine. Are tickets that are either from shows that I've gone to or been given to me. But I have today. I just added a few more, and I think I'm around 1,400 concert tickets.
Holy smokes!
Whoa!
And I collect those too, but I don't have that many.
And I have stuff all the way. I got the Beatles. I got Jimi Hendrix, Doors. I got like Mamas and Papas. I got like Rush.
So where do you find them? Like, how do you search for that type of collection?
Well, the majority of them are mine, and so from me being in the music business earlier, that's what I did. I traveled around doing lights and sound and stuff like that. So a lot of that was from those dates.
That's very cool.
And then any show I would go to, I would just put them in this drawer or whatever. And I was a very transient person, and so I had these two different girlfriends. And in 1997, 98 or something like this, both of them contacted me within a week of each other and said, "What do you want us to do with all these concert tickets?" And I said, come give them to me. So that's how I got them back, because there's no way I would have been able to have collected all of that and kept it with me, being as transient as I was. And so it worked out. And so I got those tickets. And then, like I said, I've been going to shows. I go to some years I've gone to 100 shows, and some years,
wow.
40 or 50 shows. I went to a show last night. I saw Smokey Robinson last night. 3 nights ago, I did the Arkell show at the Tim Hortons Stadium, and 2 nights before that, I did K-Flight, who opened up for the Arkell. So I've seen 4 concerts in the last week, and I see Roger Waters next Friday.
Holy smokes! No wonder you got so many tickets. That's awesome. What do you do? Like, how do you store them? What do you have them in a box?
I have now. Well, they used to be in just a box, like in a shoe box, but now they're in a photo album, kind of like hockey cards. And so I put them all like hockey cards in there or whatever. But the photo album is so big I can't fit any more pages.
Wow, I'd love to see that. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's lots of people sit down with me. I even had recently a famous Andy Curran as a guitar player, and just released an album with one of the guys from Rush, and he saw my tickets and asked me a question about one of them, and I knew who he was by his name, and we ended up going out and I took my ticket book with me, and we went and had a couple drinks and sat and went through my book and just reminisced about shows and concerts and stuff from when we were kids, and so that was a really neat thing.
That is pretty cool.
So yeah, so that's something else that I do or have.
That's so interesting.
Did you know that, Carrie?
No, I didn't know you collected. Like, I knew you liked music because we see on your social media, like you do go to a lot of concerts. Yeah. And when you said I would assume lots of them would have been yours, but that's a lot of but I guess all the years of, if that's.
Yep. And I've seen every band. I've seen every major band. There isn't there's only one person. I think Kate Bush is a musician from England that I tried to go and see one time, and she never played over here really. But they wanted like $3,000 for the ticket, and then you have to pay for the hotel and everything because it would have been in England and everything. So it would have been too much. Yeah, it was just way out of my reach. So, but that's the only person right now that's out there that that's on my list.
So you have two things that bring you so much joy, like your love of like music and live music and Mickey Mouse and your Disney community and So I'm going to say that I believe, and if the psychiatrist wants to, I surround myself with this environment to protect myself. It's that's the deep root of it all, really, is to keep myself safe and to keep my world or my environment, in a place that I want it to be, as opposed where I worked in the maximum secure psychiatric hospital for 30 something years, and that's really dangerous. Kind of like you're working in an environment where people are highly volatile and usually aggressive and very angry, and so the whole Mickey Mouse thing to me, it just is this wonderful world I get to go to. Outside of this world, I spend my whole career or life trying to help others, sort out and get through. And I think it gave me some kind of stabilization of being able to, do that kind of a high stress job for as long as I did, and, do a hobby or something outside of that of work that's going to keep me sane or, keep me feeling to go back the next day and do it again.
Yes, because working in that kind of environment could eat away at you every day.
Yeah, it does a lot of people.
Yeah, to do it for so long, that's incredible. Yeah,
so I'm one of the longest lasting, worker on the floor. Or I don't work so much on the floor anymore, but that works in the secure environment there.
Wow, and you can absolutely see that's how you kind of surround yourself with all this joy to keep you in a positive space. That's wow.
Keeps me, and they ask me at work all the time, like, how is it that you lasted this long? Most people last 5 years at the most. And I surround myself with good people, and I surround myself with things that I like to do or that make me feel good, and it's not detrimental to me or the people around me. So it's kind of, like you said, some people from the outside looking in are not used to it or don't have that kind of ideas, will think you're crazy or that, something's wrong, or, that you would do all that. But once someone sits down and has a conversation with me, and I think they get quite quickly that I'm pretty sane, and, I kind of know what I'm doing. And it brought wonderful, wonderful things to me.
It is so much. I could seriously talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but I know like I'm not going to keep you here for hours and hours and hours. But I think it's so fascinating how you've managed to bring this all into your life and just keep it and keep it so joyful. I think it's definitely a talent, and it doesn't come easy. Like it's not like it's something you have to work at. And for people that are having a hard time or whatever, like it's not like this is just comes easy to you. You focus on making sure that you bring happiness and joy and good things into your life. I
consciously think about it. Yeah, I consciously think about it. And I think part of it was I wanted to break the cycle. I wanted to get out of whatever lifestyle and world I came from and make sure that my family and my child was, not going to get caught up in that, because I found that was it didn't feel good. It wasn't a feel good kind of thing. And so there was a conscious effort to make sure that I surround myself in places or people that are helpful or want to help, and have a better or an optimistic look on life instead of a very pessimistic look on life.
That's so inspiring. Outside of the Mickey stuff, having that vision to know that you're going to do that for yourself, you must be so proud of yourself. That is something that you can do.
It took me a long time to accept it. And then later in life, many adults who knew who I was and know who I am now have pointed out to me how big of a step I took and what rewards I got from it.
You're a fascinating man, Paul Bottos.
Thank you.
It's been so much fun chatting with you, and and it feels weird to ask you about pixie dust. Like Carrie, so at the end of every podcast, we ask people, what brought you pixie dust this week. So, I'm gonna have to ask you. What brought you some joy this week?
Yeah, and so I have a whole bunch of things. My friend just came to visit me. Like I said, we went to a concert and stuff. That's pretty normal stuff. But I'm gonna say there was in May, which isn't too far back. There was I'd gotten concert tickets for my son to see a band that he wasn't really familiar with, but he liked one of their songs, and it was a band that I was very familiar with. So we got tickets for, I think it was like a Christmas or something, or a birthday, one of those things. And then the pandemic came, and so it got pushed off, and then it got pushed off, and it kept getting pushed off. But in May, it was open again, and so it was 2 years, I think, after getting the tickets. And so me and Cody, we went. We go to Toronto. We do like we always do. We go to Toronto. We go downtown to the Eat Center. We used to go to Mr. Green's Eat, but it's gone now. And, but we like to spend time downtown walking through the stores and checking things out and people gazing and stuff and like that. So we really enjoy doing that. And then we went I got to take him to Massey Hall. So he's never been to Massey Hall. I've been to Massey Hall 100 times. He's never been. And it was the opening, they're pretty close to the brand opening or new. They redone it inside. And Primus, he'd never seen the band Primus, and that was the band. And they were going to do a bunch of Rush songs and stuff like that. And so we went and had the time of our lives like we always do, and really enjoyed our time together. And it just and he's in his 20s, and he still enjoys doing stuff with me, and we like doing things together. And to have a child like that, where you still you think of him as your child, but he's a grown adult now, and kind of lives off somewhere else, and but he still wants to do things with you. He still speaks highly of you, and always feels grand when you're in the room together. And so that's my happy thing that happened that's recently, whatever, that really brought all that back together with us going to concerts again and going out to the community, the pandemic, the masking and all that stuff, whatever. So this was us getting together. It was the first time we'd done that in 2 years, probably.
That's amazing. Oh, good for you. That's so much fun. Paul, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Like we're going to have you back again, because I feel like we could do it we could do 12 hours of talking about about your life, like how the concert tickets. We could do a whole episode on concert tickets.
We could have an episode just on Mickey Mouse. We could
probably show you quite a few different Mickeys in an hour. Sure.
We could talk about your expertise and get some Mickey tips.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you so much, Paul. This has been wonderful. Thank you for sharing your time with us, and for sharing like the inspiration for just making sure that you're always bringing joy into your life.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, if somebody else wants to rub off on them, that could be the Pixie dust for them. But yeah, I just want people to enjoy life and be optimistic as opposed to pessimistic, especially in this day in the world that's a bit crazy out there with all the things that are happening. And a little bit of feel good goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. Thank you, Paul. Oh my gosh, Carrie, talk about total pixie dust. Like, he just oozes pixie dust.
He does. You've met your match there, Miss Pixie Dust.
He's just so positively positive. Which is, yeah. And it's genuine, right? Like, it's not put on. Like, it's really genuine. Yeah, pretty awesome. I felt kind of stupid asking him, like, what was your pixie dust this week? Like, the man's, like, every day focused on positivity.
He embodies
right?
positivity and keeping his life positive.
Yeah, but I felt like, we had to be authentic to the show. So we had to ask.
And there's so much, like, with him knowing so much about Mickey, like, we could have him, like, on, like, we could think of doing, how we do top 10 or this or that. Like, he could be our Mickey specialist or...
I know.
Or, like, even just asking him maybe some of his favorite things in his collection. What I wanted to ask, it was there's got to be some things in his collection that are really odd. Like, what's in his collection that's odd? The weirdest thing. The weirdest thing or the oddest thing that but, like, I'm sure there's lots of them because he's got 10,000 plus Mickeys. But what are his favorite things that are kind of off the wall and strange or weird or whatever, right? Like...
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, maybe it'd be too hard to decide because I'm sure there's lots of it. But.
Well, and I think, it's hard because we could have talked to him for hours and hours and hours. That entire, he kind of glazed over the whole Disney experience. But his trip to Disneyland that Disney took him on, like, you've got to go watch the videos. It's like nothing you've ever seen. And I'm not kidding. Money can't buy that. Like, what happened to him is, yeah. And he deserves every minute of it, right?
Absolutely. And you might need some tissues if you watch all the videos, but you still watch them.
Okay, Carrie. So we'll have to have him back on again, maybe do a top 10 list from his Mickey collection. But, it is that time of the podcast, right?
Yeah, Pixie
Why do you
dust
always
time.
Back away from the mic when I ask you about pixie dust? Carrie sits. What she does is she just sits back in her chair Carrie, what's your pixie dust?
I just I like to be a little dramatic. You know that.
I know.
So my pixie dust after I'm gonna keep it kind of simple. My pixie dust is that today I had Baskin Robbins mint chip ice cream cone for lunch. That's you know what? Sometimes joy is certain things, and sometimes it's you just need to be an adult that can do whatever the heck you want, and whatever the heck you want, maybe go get a mint chip ice cream cone for lunch, and you go get one, and then you're happy. Yep. No regret, complete and utter joy.
Good for you. Mm-hmm. See, and that's one of the benefits of being an adult. You can just go do that.
What about you? What's your pixie dust?
My pixie dust actually came from a Pixie Dust fan. I have this site where you go pick up like your mail and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I got a text saying I had a package there, and I'm thinking I didn't order anything. Like, my Amazon stuff hasn't shipped. So anyway, I go pick it up. It's this big box. I get it home. It's shipped to me from England. So Laura, one of our Pixie Dust fans, heard that I liked Coronation Street. And she lives near where they filmed Coronation Street. She sent me a box that had like a Coronation Street tea towel, a box of tea bags, some biscuits, like good English biscuits. I'm supposed to share them with you, but too bad they're probably going to be eaten before I see you. And a Coronation Street teapot. Carrie, it's a teapot of the Rover's Return, which is the pub that the entire Coronation Street show is based on.
That's pretty cool.
It is epic. Like, and then there was a card inside, and the card was tight. I'm not going to read you the card, but it said "Fabulous Woman," and I like when I read what she wrote in it. Like, Carrie, I was bawling. It was so nice. She just said that she felt like I needed some pixie dust, and she did say I had to share the cookies with you, but
there's written evidence that
there is, but too bad I ate the cookies. But I was blown away, like blown away. It was so kind for her to send me that, and I was bawling. It was so awesome. Nice. It was so nice. So yeah, like all my friends who like Coronation Street are totally jealous.
They're jealous.
Oh my gosh, they're totally jealous. Like I have a guy at work who, it's funny because there are Coronation Street fans everywhere. You don't know about them because you
call yourselves Corey fans?
Yeah, Corey fans, right? Corey? It's Corey, right? But you don't really talk about it. And then all of a sudden one day you find out like somebody, so this guy at my work, like he's a total Corey fan. And I've discovered this years ago because his mom watches it. And he grew up watching it with his mom. So same thing. But, he lives on his own now. He watches it on his own. Same thing. Like, we're all just addicted to Coronation Street. So everybody that I know like that is totally jealous of my teapot.
That's awesome.
So, Laura, if you're listening, thank you. Like, you have no idea what it meant. It was awesome. Yeah. So that was pretty big pixie dust for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was so nice. But, so Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
Another fun episode.
Yep.
We got
another one in the books.
Another one in the books. I don't even know what number this is. And truth be told, we got to go look. We actually have to go look at the thing to find out the numbers. But anyway, thank you.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. But stay tuned till next week. And if you get a chance, don't forget to leave us a rating and review and send us feedback. Send us questions. Oh, that's the other thing. There is an app now. Did you hear about this app, Carrie, where you can post, like, people can send you anonymous questions? I thought it was going to be good for things like this, but there's some freaks out there that send you some weird questions, man. Like, some of the questions, okay, fine, and I answered, but some of them are weird. But anyway. So send us normal questions, and maybe you'll inspire a podcast episode. Or if you have someone that you think we should interview,
we'd love to hear.
Yeah, get us an introduction, and we'd love to hear.
Bada boom, bada bing. You never know.
Exactly. All right.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Pixie Dust Fan Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode.
Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast player so you'll get a new episode every week. And find us on social media too. We'd love to hear from you.
Till next time, remember, you are never too old to be young. Chase your dreams and design your own happily ever after.